I knew eventually this would come up with everything going on with the Panthers right now. They're not really doing good. They're doing actually horrendous. I think they have one win and the rest are losses. So I knew eventually they would start talking about, well, eventually they're going to start trading everything away, right? They did that with CMC and look how that turned out. But they have no first round draft pick this upcoming year. They traded away to the Chicago Bears so that they could get Bryce Young. And what do you know? Bryce Young cannot do everything. And when he has nothing around him and nothing to help him out, he's not really that successful, and their team's not that successful. So most likely the Panthers are going to go into a rebuild. They're going to go into a we need to do something, fix something, and correct something. And this is when they could start shipping out some pieces. Now, question is, should we try to trade for Hayden Hurst? The answer to that question is no. Short and sweet, P. Ryan, I've talked about many times how I think we should try to trade for Samaje P. Ryan. That makes sense. He's on the contract that we offered him. We offered him the same contract that the Broncos offered him. He accepted the Broncos because he believed he was going to be a two-back system with Sean Payton in Denver. It hasn't worked out. That could be a situation where we're like, hey, you know what, Samaje? We want to give Joe Mixon a nice backup option and maybe run out of shotgun. We want to do some two-back sets formations. Would you like to come back? That works out. The money isn't crazy. Everything kind of checks out there. But Hayden Hurst is the opposite, right? Is that if we brought him back, the problem is exactly what I just mentioned. The contract. I mean, he went and got a big payday with Carolina. And I respect that in every way possible. But this year, he's making $3.1 million. Next year, $10.05. And the year after that, $8.5. Now, not only is, he going to cost a lot, he's 30 years old. So now he's getting up there in age on tight end. Obviously, he's had injury concerns in his past. So that's something to take into consideration. And then you got to remember the fact that, is he really going to, come in and be that superstar player we need? Probably not. He would be, if anything, a Band-Aid to try to fix the problem. And now you also have to put in draft capital. Just because we add a tight end, I've said this many times, until we add a player like to replace Volson or replace Irv Smith, it doesn't mean we're going to start utilizing the tight end group better or in a more efficient way, right? Yes, obviously those guys have to step up, but we cannot put 99.9% of the blame on the tight end group. There is a part of the blame you have to put toward play calling. There is a part of the blame you have to put toward Joe Burrow in some way when it comes to making reads in the, so far this year. A lot of it has come to his calf strain. You could put a lot of it to his calf strain, right? There's a lot of different factors you could put into everything. And I want to say, actually, I'll take that back. I want to say Joe Burrow's reads. I want to say his calf strain has been really the big issue. He hasn't been able to step into a throw, right? So, again, there's so many different factors, opponents' defenses, that you can't just say, okay, Hayden Hurst comes in, you bring in a 30-year-old tight end, and bam, he's going to fix everything. And yes, this year, his salary cap looks pretty dang good. 3.1 is not bad. But then again, the next 2 years is a problem. And you have to give up draft capital. And right now, I mean, I don't know what I would even trade for Hayden Hurst. A 6th-round pick, a 7th-round pick. And then I would, if I even made a trade on this, I would say a 6th, 7th-round pick. And then what I want is I want a return of the Panthers paying majority of this salary. Now, the article I just looked at talked about what about, the Bengals could do they could restructure his contract. And that would make no sense. Why would he take a restructure? He left us for a reason. He left us to go get paid. He's not gonna, he didn't go to the Panthers thinking the Panthers were about to be the best team in football. He went because he said, okay, I know I'm going to go to a team that probably won't have a good record, but I'm going to get paid, and I'm going to get one more payday. So there's really no reason to even think about bringing this guy back. I love Hayden Hurst, and I think he's a really great player. And if he would have stayed with us, I think it would have been a great move by us. But at this price tag, with everything being considered, there is no reason, even if, if they paid 90% of his salary, if they said, listen, Bengals, we want to rebuild, we want to get something going here, we'll pay 90% of his salary, we have a salary cap to do it, we'll pay 90% of his salary, please just take him off our hands and give us a 6th-round pick. If that was being said, I would say, yeah, sure, why not? At that point, it's a win-win here, right? We're not giving up really anything, we're not losing anything, and we're not paying anything. But they're not going to do that. They're not. And there's just no point to, go out there and try to bring him back. He left us. He went out there and he got a payday. And as I always say, I fully respect a player going to get paid. Go make your money, my man. It's a business at the end of the day. No hurt feelings. But it wouldn't make logical sense for us to then go, oh, well, you just got a big payday. We need a tight end. Let's bring you back. Because, again, why? We would have gave him this contract if we wanted him back at this money. If we wanted him for this amount of money, we would have paid him this when, he was up for free agency. Clearly, no. We offered him a contract. We gave him a value. We said, you're worth, value A. And he said, I'm going to see if I can get better than value A. And the Panthers said, okay, we're going to pay you a bag. And he said, I'm going to go for the bag. So, again, I fully respect, his, circumstance of going to Carolina and making a bag. And no, I don't think we should bring him back in any circumstance possible. I think that, he should play out the rest of his career and maybe if he wants to retire after 3 years and walk away with $13-15 million. There's no way he would restructure. There's no way he would do any of that. So shout out to him for, really living his best life. So again, like I said, I knew this would eventually come up. I just wanted to kind of nip this in the butt right away. Yes, we do need tight end help. Yes, our tight end group is definitely not performing at the top level. But again, it's not just the tight end group. You can't sit there and point a finger and say, he's the problem, he's the problem, he's the problem. Because it's also play calling. It's also level of opponent. Those are all these factors that go into everything. And, I think the best way to put it is, you can never put everything on one player when you lose a game. When you lose a game, let's say you miss a guy drops a touchdown at the end of the game. Oh, here's a good example. The Saints just lost Thursday night versus the Jaguars. I think it was last week, right? And Foster Moreau dropped the touchdown pass in that game. He dropped the game-winning touchdown pass. Would have won them the game. He dropped it, right? And a lot of fans, they were brutal. There was fans targeting him because he has cancer. There's fans that targeting him for a lot of different reasons, which is disgusting. But they were targeting him because he lost, and they said, oh, they do personal attacks. Oh, I hope blah blah your family member blanks, right? They were really going at it. Did he lose them that game? Is he 100% responsible? Answer that question, no. You can look at throughout the whole entire game. Did anybody else drop a catch that game? Well, yes. That would have led them down the field and potentially get a field goal or a touchdown. Did anyone miss a kick in that game? Well, yes. That's 3 points on the board taken off. You can't ever look at one said player or one said play and then say, that's the real reason why we lost this game. That's the reason why our offensive drive stalled or didn't go through, right? There's a million different factors every single drive, every single play that happens where you're like, well, T. Higgins dropped that catch right there. Yeah, but Tyler Boyd didn't run his route correctly. I'm not saying he didn't, but I'm saying, you can look at that, right? Yoshi should have cut better on that play. He would have been wide open. If Yoshi cut better, he's wide open, he's crossing the middle, he's going for a touchdown. Again, I'm not saying he didn't do anything, but I'm saying, you can look at so many different factors, and I know as fans, and I think as football, enthusiasts especially, we get very emotional about these games, we get very, intensified about these games, and we always like to find a scapegoat, right? We like to find one reason why we lost. And majority of fans, it's whatever. You're like, dang it, man. That's crazy. Okay. It happens. But then there are fans out there, really delusional people, who go on social media, who go on Instagram, and they target these players and they attack them. And they say some heinous stuff to them because they're angry, and they do try to find all that anger and they try to project it on one said player. So, again, like I said, I'm not sitting here trying to white knight for, Irv Smith, saying Irv Smith is, he's not bad, it's simply the system. No, there is a lot of blame to put on him, but there's not really, you can't blame everything on the, Irv Smith, Mitchell Wilcox, Tanner Hudson, Drew Sample. You can put all the blame around, play calling, Joe Burrow's injury, offensive line play, running routes correctly. So, I know that was a rant right there, guys, but I just wanted to make that rant because I think it's very important to have that conversation, that not a lot of people want to have that conversation, but you have to have that conversation when it comes to football, because there's a lot of hate when it comes to certain players and, how games end. We got to pump the brakes on some things, right? So, in all this conclusion, all that, pull all the, stars out of the atmosphere, put it in a line here, put it in a circle. What is the solution? Hayden Hurst is not the answer. There you go. See? You skipped to the end. You got the solution in the end there. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.